and being here because this episode, this episode literally, like, I get it. I say it all the time. Like, this the episode changes everything in your life. Just understand that's the intention that I set every single time I show up on these shows is I want to do everything that I can to provide information for you so that you can take something away that will implement in your life and change it and take it to the next level. Like, that's my intention every single time. And that's what we're here for. So I'm going to expose the two biggest unknown expenses that you know. Like, well, you don't know, obviously. It's what part of the title, right? Now, if you've seen some of my trainings, you might know some of what those are, and you may not know what they are as well. But I encourage you to stay here because by the end of this, you're going to understand. See, friends, this is really, really, really important to get this. Really important to get this. See, I want you to write this down. This is a writer downer, okay? I want you to write these words down. We pay the price, but we don't count the cost. We pay the price, but we don't count the cost. Now, think about what that means. Okay, so by the age of 35, 95% of our life is automatic, which means we don't have to use up any new bandwidth in order for us to determine what kind of decisions that we're going to make every single day, right? And that's part of what we're going to be talking about in exposing the two biggest unknown expenses that we have, right? Because I propose to you that if you don't know what those two biggest expenses are, you're paying a massive price for it because you're unaware, right? And unaware, I'll share something with you. I'm just going to get real with you tonight, if that's okay with you. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you to just get absolutely real? Because there's a whole lot of BS going on in this world today, and there's a whole lot of agenda out there trying to grab people's attention. And understand, friends, attention is a priceless commodity, and there's lots of people out there doing every single thing they can to grab your attention. And the longer they can hold it, guess what? The more they can convince you to be the person that they want you to be, right? If they can make you angry and they can make you afraid, they can control how you behave. Let me repeat that. If they can make you angry, they can make you afraid, they can control how you behave, right? Like, we got people doing some crazy stuff out there, right? Like, I met with my copywriter this morning. This goes along with one of the expenses, so stay with me. Friends, it's not people that fight. It's levels of understanding that fight, right? And he is in India, and there was a tailor over there that had two guys that entered his tailor shop, beat him up, stabbed him a bunch of times, and then they beheaded him. That's the kind of world we're living in right now. And the reason they beheaded him is because he believes different than what they do. Right? And that is levels of understanding. And this is part of some of the expenses that most people don't understand, right? See, we've got all this stuff going on inside of us, and we really don't even know why we get triggered. Why do we not certain people? Why is it that we disagree? Why do we get so animated? Why do I get angry? Why do I get irritated? Like, all these things are going on, and we don't know why, right? So let me tell you what the first one, this is the least expensive of the two, right? The least expensive of the two is of your biggest expense is taxes. It's taxes, my friend. And I want you to think about, what does that mean? So there's a reason why I'm going to say something, and I'll bet every single one of you on here, you can comment it if you can beat it to me before. You are supposed to go to school so that you can get a good education, so that you can get a good, somebody want to put that in a comment? Somebody want to put that in a comment? Right? Like, that's so automatic that we automatically think that. And it's just conditioned. Like, we don't have to spend any cognitive bandwidth for us to come up with the rest of that answer. It has been so indoctrinated in us. Okay, now think about, why would that be so indoctrinated in us? It is because the educational system is set up to create employees. The largest thing, the thing that is tax, the highest bracket of tax bracket is wages. Okay, wages is the highest percentage that is taxed, the highest percentage, right? The other thing that is one of the biggest income sources for government is school loans. Okay, so you got school loans, everybody, well, you don't have to pay them back for 30 or 20 years or whatever, right? And what they do is they rack up these incredible amount of debt, and then they go out into the world, and now they've invested into this thing that they got to do. And so they get into a job, or whatever job is going to take them, and then they spend the rest of their life sacrificing, paying off something that they were sold this bill of good that you don't have to pay that taxes. Now, friends, please hear me. I am not against education. I'm not even against college, right? I am against ignorance. I am against naivety. This is what causes more pain in the world than anything else, is naivety. Okay. And that leads us to the biggest unknown expense. This is what the biggest unknown expense is. And as I said before, if you don't know what these are and you can't articulate them like just boom, like that, then you don't even know how much it's costing you. And I want you to think about that, because I've said this many times and I'll say it many more times, because I want everybody to get this at the level that I want you to get it. And that is, if you do not understand influence, it's being used on you. Right. And by the way, if you're not following me on TikTok, get over to Coach Jeff Aldon over on TikTok, because that's where I'm giving a lot of exclusive content. That's just like, I'm having a blast over there. And I would love to see you see my content over there. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is because I put up a TikTok today that said, just because they say it is doesn't make it so. Just because they say it is doesn't make it so. Right. It's the reason they call it television. They want to determine what it is that you visualize so that you buy into that and behave accordingly. Okay. Now, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but okay, cool. And I'll tell you, actually, this is again, I'm sharing what the most expensive one is without coming in right out and telling you. The word conspiracy theorist, do you know where that came from? It's a word they throw around a lot. And the reason they do it is because they want to demonize inquiry. I want you to hear that again. They come up with that term because they want to demonize inquiry. The word conspiracy theorist came up. They created it. The CIA created it when people started wanting more information about JFK's assassination. Okay? So, and the media is really, really good at demonizing conspiracy theorists. Okay, so I'm probably what they consider a conspiracy theorist. I'm a critical thinker, right? Like, I don't just buy somebody's agenda or what it is that they want me to believe. And this leads me to, this is the most unknown expense, the biggest unknown expense that you have. And it is what you don't know. It is what you don't know. Because what you don't know can be used to you to create somebody else's agenda. Now, I want you to really think about that. Because we have been conditioned to believe certain things. And again, I'm not here to be a naysayer. I'm not here to make you crazy and make you scared. I'm here to empower you. I'm here to empower you, right? Because if you understand what is actually going on, then you're going to have the awareness. Now, this is what's really, really important. See, my friend, you are not your body. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. You are not your name. You are not your job. You are not your relationship. You're not any of that. What you are is you're the awareness. You are the one that observes your thoughts. You are the one that experiences your emotions. You are the one that creates your life. You are the one that goes through the experience, and you are the one that defines and narrates what that experience is, right? And you do that through your awareness. Like, your awareness is the most powerful tool that you could have. Right? But if you don't know, guess what? You have all kinds of blind spots. And those blind spots are the things that lead us down paths that can be very, very, very painful. And let me give you an example of that. Okay. I ended up inviting a dark witch into this house. And that dark witch lived with us for 2 years and destroyed everything. Now, you might look at that and go, how is that possible? Like, okay, I consider myself a fairly intelligent person, right? I've gone through a lot of things. I've done lots of work. I've done all kinds of stuff, right? And yet she seduced me because she knew what I wanted. And I introduced her by somebody that said, hey, I think you could be a part of this ensemble book, which is a book with multiple authors, right? And I just got out of a very powerful training about Experts Academy, Brandon Burchard's Expert Academy. I highly encourage, I don't even know if he's doing it anymore. Very powerful, right? And I just got out of that and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do a book. And I got more focused on getting that book done and not being able to see just how much I was being used. Ever seen the movie Interviewing Anna? Pretty close to what I was living with, right? And understand that this is possible for all of us. We are seduced. Effective seduction is never recognized. right? And you can believe whatever you want to believe. In fact, I want you to think that I'm absolutely crazy. And then if you think I'm crazy, you can go out there and research and find out for yourself, actually, some of the things that I'm saying actually has some validity to it, right? Because like I said, when I first got on here, by the time you're 35 years of age, 95% of your life is automatic, which means you are not using any cognitive ability to process you into new areas of your life, right? And this is where Desjardins, I think that's his name, said, progress is the soul of the universe, right? So if you want to expand, that means that you are going to have to look at the patterns and the programs and the conditioning and all the things that you have that has created the life that you have right now, right? And if you want to create something different than what you've created right now, then you're going to have to create different programs and let go. Now, that doesn't mean entirely let go. It means looking at what is aligned with what it is that you want to create, right? Because most people, again, so this is one of the biggest obstacles that I see working with clients and my students. This is one of the biggest obstacles that I see is them looking at the conditioning that they were raised in. It's them looking at the conditioning of the environment. And it makes sense why they don't want to look at that, because our biggest fear is to be separated from our tribe. Our biggest fear is to be separated from our tribe. So if we start questioning what the community that we are in, that means that at a subconscious level that we are going to be exiled. We're going to be rejected. We're not going to be a part of these people's lives anymore. And we fear being alone more than changing a belief that is not aligned with our highest good. Let me repeat that, because that is really, really, really important. We fear being alone more than challenging our beliefs that kept us where we're at, right? And so our environment can be stronger than our willpower, right? And so that's why it's important for you to have clarity with where it is, exactly where it is that you want to go. Figure out where it is that you want to go, not figuring out the how. That'll come. You don't figure out the how, you go, where is it that I want to go? And then what is it within me that I have to create so that I can become the person that is going to manifest that, right? Like that's super, super important, right? Because once you have clarity, right, you can focus your energy in that area. If you don't, you have confusion. When you have confusion, you're burning up a ton of energy. When you're burning up a ton of energy, just imagine going to a grocery store hungry, right? You're going to make decisions based off of survival, right? Like this fly sees this light head, like thinks that I'm a light bulb and comes attacks me, right? Because it thinks, look at this big cool light bulb, right? So what is it that you want to create in your life? What is it that you want to create in your life? And stay in that space, because as soon as we do that, the next thing that comes up is all the automatic programming. Like, look at all the things that you've done in the past that you aren't able to create, right? Like we just start beating ourselves up. And this is the interesting part, my friend. We become the perpetrator to our limitations. And see, the limitations were programmed and conditioned in us. This is when we were victimized, when we were imprinted, when we were wounded. This is when all this stuff was programmed in us by a perpetrator. Now, that doesn't mean that it's an evil person. Everybody has their own intention of why they do things, right? But we had that happen. We got imprinted like, oh my gosh, wow, this is amazing. But then we end up becoming just like the person that perpetrated us to our own limitations. And see, this is the greatest opportunity for you. What if you started loving every single aspect of who you are, like really loving it, right? Because see, what you're afraid of, this is what you're really afraid of. You're not afraid of the outcome. You're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid of rejection, although that's all the stuff that you think it is. You're afraid of the narrative that you are going to tell yourself about how things turn out, right? And this is just, all this stuff is automatic, right? When you start getting in touch with the conversation that you have with yourself, you begin to recognize how freaking hard you are on yourself. There's a reason I'm bald. There's a reason I'm bald. Like the hair jumped out of my head and just went, it's too freaking tight in here. It's just way too tight in here, right? So understanding this, right? So how do you talk to your best friend, right? Why don't you talk to yourself that way? Because all of this, friend, is impacting your ability to step into the unknown. So I say, get familiar with the uncomfortable, because anytime you're going to grow, it's going to be uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable, you're not growing, right? So just become familiar with that, right? And this is another TikTok that I put up there. By the way, you can tell I enjoy TikTok. I love TikTok. Most people will not suck at something long enough to get good at it. Most people will not be bad at something long enough to get good at it, right? And you're looking at somebody that has absolutely bombed in front of thousands of people. Like I did it once and it was like, oh my gosh. And now I don't have to fear that anymore, right? Like I've had massive technical issues. Like I interviewed one guy on my podcast when I first started. I had to put him on speakerphone and hold it here in the mic while he spoke. And I talked to him that way while I was on camera. Like it was crazy. It was atrocious. I look back on it going, oh my gosh. And you know what? I went through it and I learned and I kept growing, right? So that I could be here today and learn the things that I'm doing here. Like I built this studio. The studio's been done like probably in the making like 10 years. It's actually probably like 13, 14 years I've been in the process of building the studio, right? But it just kept moving forward, right? What do you want? What do you want? And then what keeps you from making it happen? And if you go outside of yourself, it's an excuse. See, money is everywhere, my friend. Money is everywhere. And I've said this many times, no matter how many times you showed up, I'm going to keep saying this, right? To make my case in point is that if your child's life depended on you coming up with whatever you needed to come up with to make your dream a reality, you would figure out how to do it. See, we do what becomes so natural for us. And that's why I said, this is why I started this whole thing out. By the age of 35, 95% of our life is unconscious, which means anytime we step out into the uncomfortable, right, our body goes into survival. And if we're not aware of that, then we're not going to hold space for the process of what we're going to go through. And I'll just be honest with you, like this last month, oh my God, it's just another threshold, right? I've been going through another threshold and there's been lots of changes going on in my business, right? And it's expanding on a level like, holy cow. And what that is doing is it's requiring a different version of who I am. And see, most people don't want to let go of the old because they created that version of them. And so they have a very intimate relationship with them. And how many intimate relationships in your life have you enjoyed letting go of? Right? It's the same thing when we're dealing with different versions of who we are that got us where we're at. But see, if we are committed to what it is that we really want to create, then we will do whatever we have to do to make that happen, right? Again, we don't get what we want, we get what we are committed to, right? So I would encourage you. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be talking about this a lot because actually I'm going to make an offer that's absolutely ridiculously crazy. I'm looking for 5 people, right? Like I'm doing a challenge at the end of this month, right? And let me turn on the banner. Okay. Let me just do that so you guys can all see that. So I'm doing this challenge at the end of this month, the ROI Accelerator Challenge. Okay. This is going to be my best work so far. And if you've attended any of my other workshops, you know this is the one thing that I am accused of more than anything else. And that is I way over deliver, right? And this challenge, I'm going to bring the best of the best of the best that I have, right? Like this last 2 years has been nuclear for me, and out of it, I have found some things that have just been absolutely extraordinary in accelerating my life and accelerating my clients' life and accelerating my students' life. So I want to share all those with you. So go to the ROIacceleratorchallenge.com. But what I'm doing is I'm looking for 5 people. I'm only doing this one time, and I'm going to be putting this out on multiple platforms. And so this is something that's important for you, is that if you're interested in learning how I'm creating the ROI Accelerator Challenge, like I got on TikTok, okay, I've been on TikTok for a month. My first month on TikTok, I did over $33,000 just playing, right? And let me remind you what ROI stands for. R stands for remember, like remember the part of you that was superhuman, like you were able to do whatever. You had not been conditioned to understand what limitations and fears and doubts and self-sabotage and the imposter syndrome. You didn't understand what any of that was. It's before that. I'm going to show you how to access that. I'm going to show you how to literally change your past, right? Like that's what I do with my clients, right? So that's the R. The O is for optimize, like really looking at your internal world and being able to optimize it so that everything is aligned and congruent with exactly what it is that you want to create. Just like looking at your phone, right? Like every time your phone upgrades its operating system, there are apps on your phone that become obsolete because those apps they don't update the apps. It's the same thing with our internal world. Like you have parts of you and patterns and programs and complexes and constructs that are part of an old operating system, and they are not going to be useful when it comes time for you to step out and do something more extraordinary, right? So I'm going to show you how to optimize all of that. The I is for influence, okay? Let's see if anybody's paying attention here. Who is the most important person in your life to influence? Who is the most important person in your life to influence? Okay, give you a little bit of moment to, I know we got a little bit of delay, but I want to see if somebody knows the answer to this because it is so important, right? Like I asked you yesterday or last show that I did on your list of the people that you love. I really hope that you are the number one person that you put on there, right? And stay with, okay, I'm supposed to love myself. What does that mean? And like pay attention to everything that comes up around that. So the most important person in your life to influence is you, right? Because influencing you determines the quality of your life. It determines what vibration you're in. It determines what's possible for you. It determines how much you can stay committed to whatever it is that you want to create, right? So influencing you is the first and most important thing. And then out of that, then you're able to influence other people. If you don't believe in who you are, you don't believe in the value that you deliver to this world, you don't understand the investment that you have made to become the person that you are today. This is what we're going to be going over in the ROI challenge, right? I'm going to show you how to monetize. I'm going to show you how to leverage. I'm going to show you how I did $95,000 with the last challenge that I did. Like, I'm going to show you how to massively change your life on many, many different levels so that you can influence. So understand this, friend, when you can create money out of thin air, it puts you into a different stratosphere. It puts you into a different stratosphere, right? So I'm going to be doing this challenge at the end of the month, but right now I'm looking for 5 people. Only 5 people. That is all I'm taking at this level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work with them one-on-one. I'm going to get them prepared so that they can see exactly A to Z on how I'm putting together this challenge. They're going to go through the challenge and they're going to see how I create what it is that I'm going to create. I'm only doing this for 5 people. This is why I'm doing the challenges, because I'm backing away from one-on-one coaching, because I want to make a bigger impact into this world. And the only way that I can do that is start leveraging and increasing the size of my audience. Doing one-on-one coaching takes a lot of my effort, takes a lot of my energy, because I give my clients a lot, right? So if you want to be one of those 5 people, put down below interested. Just put interested. I'll reach out to you and we'll set up a 15-minute conversation to see if it's a fit for both of us, right? It's a 15-minute conversation, no obligation. You'll have an opportunity to ask me any questions that you want to ask me. That 15 minutes is basically going to be seeing if it's a fit for both of us to move forward together. I'm not ever going to do this again, right? I'm really committed to these 5 people, and these 5 people are going to get an extraordinary experience. So if you want to be one of the 5 beta testers, let me know by typing in interest below, and I will reach out to you. I'll send you my Calendly link, and we will get on a 15-minute conversation and see if it's something that'll work for both of us. So, my friend, I want to do everything I can to support you in creating the life that you want. And understand, you can sit there and listen to the news, which is a hypnotic mechanism to make you feel broke and put you under survival. When you tap into your vibration, you can totally feel that the news job is to make you suffer, because when you suffer, you take on someone else's narrative and you want to spend more. Like, understand, friends, there are people out there that are called consumer engineers. Their job is to figure out how to put television in front of you to make you consume more, or put you on checkout in big pharma, right? So you can choose to do that and stay on that, or you can choose to invest into who you are so that your number one expense becomes your number one asset, because you know who you are and what you're capable of doing. And then you can create extraordinary things, and you can create your own economy. When you're able to create money out of thin air, it puts you into a totally different stratosphere. You trust yourself on a level that, like, you become unstoppable. It's amazing what happens. And I remember I was told the same thing too, but I've done the work on me that I do with my clients, and I've literally changed my income on what I make hourly, like 1,000%. Right? Like, massively changed how it is that I make, and being able to leverage, like, what I made on TikTok last month. It used to take me 3 years to make that. Took me 3 years what I did in 1 month on TikTok, right? Like the challenge that I did earlier this year, right? Like it took me 8 years to make something like that, right? But see, wealth is knowing how to leverage time. Wealth is all about compressing time, right? If you make $1 million and let's say you make $100,000 a year, okay? It takes you 10 years to make $1 million. You're not considered a millionaire. But if you take that and compress that and can do it in a couple of years, then you're a millionaire. It's all wealth is, right? Is to be able to compress time. Okay. So I appreciate you being here, my friend. If there's any questions or anything like that, please let me know. I will return. I'll be looking for the comments on all this, and I will do all I can to support you. Appreciate you using your valuable time to be here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Love each and every one of you. I wish you many, many, many blessings. And may your life be flooded with the prosperity and abundance that it deserves. And may you understand how extraordinary that you are, because you are. And I appreciate you sharing your time with me, my friend. And until then, live like your life depends on it, my friend, because it does. And you deserve the best. Much love. Be blessed. Take care.